lag, and we may well end it with the same.
What is going on here?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with your monitor. But
okay.
What did you do to it?
Nothing.
Production came in here during the break. They're just like,
please don't break my stuff.
Please don't break my stuff.
I'm not sure what's going on.
I just feel bad for them at this point. Well, you're not coming back. I mean, that's pretty obvious at this point.
Did we load it? Yeah, we're actually good. It's good now.
We have the game.
It's good.
Hooray! Here we go. CDEC Radiant, EHOME Dire. It is best of 5, no game advantage. Let's get into it. On the Dire side, we have Team EHOME. ROTK going to be playing his offlane Pugna. It looks like ZYF or YJ or Yang or whatever the hell he's calling himself today will be on the Gyrocopter. We've got CTY on the Leshrac. He'll be heading mid. Lanham. The Lanham Shaker makes its return, Sind. This is exciting stuff. DDC rounding out the EHOME draft as the Rubik. And on the Radiant side, we do have Shiki, the new mid player replacing maybe on the Dragon Knight. Garter on your Darkseer. It will be Q handling the Lina. Aggressive, not living up to his name now, kind of hiding in the trees, playing that Queen of Pain. And rounding things off will be the wild card pick. The offlane brood that certainly nobody saw coming, but that doesn't mean it's going to work either.
Yeah, this is like we talked about pre-game. This brood pick is kind of I don't want to call it an all-in, but it's a gamble basically for CDEC. They were running out of time. They needed something special. They went for the brood in a game where I don't feel like brood is as good as it usually is when we see it picked. But if we see a strong individual performance from him, it could be the key. Because
the battle begins.
In a way, no matter what, if you want to say standard pick in the situation, CDEC would have gone for, I think their draft would have been weaker. So. Grabbing the brood at least created some chaos. It's kind of similar, actually, to, if you remember the second game CDEC played against EHOME in the winner's bracket final, they grabbed a Prophet, and he created a lot of space and set up some nice ganks in the early game. They still lost, but maybe that's their approach. They're just trying to get EHOME out of their comfort zone.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, we are going to see the lane start to develop here, but Garter's jungle got invaded. The medium camp was blocked off, as well as the pole camp here. That leaves them only the one big camp to work with. On top of that, the Lina looked like she wanted to try and make a little move on mid, but there's no opportunity. As we're going to see already, there's a lot of dancing around all around the map, especially in this top lane where Brew just is consistently kind of butting heads here with the two EHOME heroes. They do have a sentry ward already placed. At the same time, though, XC still going to be able to get good experience here early on, it looks like.
Yeah, he needs to play pretty cautiously for now until, well, as long as he has an idea where Shaker is, it helps him a lot. And Shaker is showing in the mid lane for now, but once Lanham moves, he could actually just get caught off by a fissure into a lift into Rocket Barrage and might just die from that alone. So he's going to move top now.
So one thing we talked about, Sind, is that, of course, the Dragon Knight is not going to win mid. Whether it's a Pugna, we expected the Leshrac to go mid. That is what happened, especially with Earthshaker's support. Jungle, Darkseer, not really offering much early on. And well, he is still bottle crowing nicely, getting his CS, but CTY also just getting absolute free farm in his own right.
Nice stun. This is one of the... Oh, wait a second.
This might be a first blood. Shiki's in trouble. Starts to bottle up. One more.
Oh, he gets him!
The low cooldown lightning just barely clipping him.
Wow, that must have been really on the edge. That does not deal a lot of damage. It's a 60 damage nuke level 1 after reduction.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of players would have let the Dragon Knight go there.
Yeah.
That did not look like an obvious kill. And he obviously didn't even realize it, or he would have backed sooner.
Yeah.
Well, now things get really, really interesting. And with that, 13 CS on Leshrac and a first blood to his name in a 1v1, this puts even more pressure on the Broodmother, the Darkseer, to make use of the space that they're being given.
It's just so easy for Leshrac to hit Split Earth on melee heroes. It's such a good matchup for him. Pretty much any melee hero in the mid lane, they will go into melee to last hit, and it sets up for Split Earth, which is usually a difficult ability to land, but when you can figure out the enemy's movement patterns, just as here, he can pretty much land a Split Earth whenever he wants. And Dragon Knight, you can farm once in a while with Breathe Fire, but that can't be your only farm in the lane. Then you're really losing hard.
Yeah, he is CSing reasonably well for now, but you know CTY is about to start getting those next couple of items where he can play more aggressively on the Dragon Knight. He tanks up a bit. And again, it's a Leshrac mid. Very similar to, akin to like a Shadow Fiend, I would say, is a fairly gankable, squishy hero early on, but there's very much no threat of a gank at this point. Maybe with the Darkseer and the level 6 Dragon Knight, that's a possibility, but even then, you have to be worried about the Earthshaker counter initiation, who's Lanham, I want to point out, has just been off the map almost the entire game so far. He's either parked behind mid, he's roaming around near the Ancients, he's fissure blocking wherever he's needed. It's kind of like the value of having like a bat rider who's always missing. Everyone's always worried, where is this Earthshaker and what's he going to do next?
And if he keeps, like, did he fissure block bottom more than once?
I think he went back to fissure block it again, it looked like.
It's helping ROTK a lot. Pugna is a pretty bad offlane hero, but is really good with levels, so he's very fragile, dies easily in the lane, doesn't have any escape mechanism, but getting a Pugna up to a fast level 6 or 7, even without any items, it can be a very devastating hero. So that's the idea here for EHOME, and they're paying for it, like you said. Shaker not really accomplishing too much yet. I personally would like to see him roam top. Looks like it's mid. That's the call for now, though.
Hoping that Dragon Knight will come for a rune top side of the map.
I think he doesn't even need to.
Yeah, he's just going to bottom crow, and it's pretty dangerous
if he doesn't go back.
Make a move. Meanwhile, there's the Decrepify from RTK. It does get off the blast on Q, but won't continue pursuit. And I want to point out, Sin, they're not jungling the Darkseer anymore. He has rotated top, and they're trying to kind of break down the landing stage here very early with the Iron Shield Spider lanes. Seems a little gimmicky as a combo, but early on, it's threatening to EHOME. They have to be careful about not overextending.
I think this isn't worth it. At minute 430, Darkseer could be at full level above what he is right now from full jungling if you do the right rotation. Arguably, well, the small camp is blocked, I guess, from the Dire. Has been from the start. They put obs wards in there, so
they've had one there from the very beginning. That's when they invaded the jungle.
He had limited access, so maybe he hasn't lost as much as I said, but he is not really accomplishing anything up here, in my opinion.
They're not getting kills as of yet. So far, Gyrocopter is still free farming. He's actually the leader in CS, 31 CS on ZYF. Already has phase boots. They are trying to change that here with XZ. There's a cute little lift there, finding the Iron Shield Spider lane. And meanwhile, looks like Dragon Knight went down mid. There was a fissure, followed up by mass nuke damage from Leshrac. And that is the one issue I feel with this matchup for Dragon Knight is he's great against physical damage type heroes mid, like a TA, for example. The Dragon's Blood really helps out. But Leshrac, Earthshaker, it's just all magic damage, essentially. At least at this stage.
Leshrac is one of the, maybe even the 3 worst matchups for Dragon Knight in mid lane. It's definitely up there, at least. And they drafted Dragon Knight knowing that they were playing against more than likely a core Lesh. Because there was the Shaker Rubik picked already for EHOME and the Gyro, so the chance that Lesh doesn't go mid is fairly low, I would say, in that situation. So they drafted him a losing lane, which is...
And it goes back to the... And that's often fine with Dragon Knight drafts, because you can... Well, a lot of times we'll see the Dragon Knight, and it's like a Rubik Ancient Apparition, or a really strong off-lane ganker, such as a Bat Rider or Clockwork, who can help things out, or have a little engagement here in the river, potentially. Good Dragon Tail. He's able to back off, Lanham unable to get off his fissure. And so too, coming to the river will be Q. Trying to find that opening. Fissure does come through. Leshrac's done. Oh, he surges into the Pulse Nova. He tried to juke, but that was not the way out. Ends up dying. Score now 3-0 for EHOME. Leshrac, the beneficiary on all 3 kills, and to nobody's surprise, Lanham has been involved in all 3 as well.
And the first Dragon Tail here is used by Shiki. I was about to say for nothing, but he actually stayed alive because of it.
Meanwhile, top lane, they bring down XZ. EHOME just connecting all over the map for these kills. And, you know, towards the end of the draft, when that last pick came out, I believe you mentioned, and we had Gods and Baseskip in agreement, this team has to be ahead. They can't even be even. And right now, they're already significantly behind. Well, they try to adjust it now. They're going to TP and aggressive onto the mid lane. Does get off a Shadow Strike, but does he really want to go in here on CTY? He can't. They force out a TP from the Queen of Pain, and it honestly feels like CDEC is already feeling desperate, only 7 minutes in.
I want to say they're losing all 3 lanes, not in the sense that obviously Pugna is not out farming the Quap, but Pugna's getting more than Pugna should. So
he's an off-lane Pugna who's level 5 with Arcane Boots. And
almost level 6.
I mean, if you have a strong tri-lane, and you can completely keep the Pugna out of experience range without the Shaker support.
The Shaker definitely helps a lot and has set up all the kills mid. But it's also seemed like... So here's the problem with CDEC's draft that we also talked about. They do not have very good rotations early on from their supports. They have a Darkseer and a Lina. So they can't play... They can kind of only play reactionary. They can't put any pressure yet with their heroes. So they're going to resort to smoking up the Dragon Knight, who does have his ultimate in 5 seconds, so maybe this can get them a kill and hopefully for them a tower.
Smoke from CDEC. They surge in the Dragon Knight. He does turn into the big bad green one. They vacuum back DDC. The stun comes out from Lesh, hits on 2. Foul up from the Broodmother as CTY just runs into the entire enemy team. The Fissure's going to help him out here a bit. It finally comes for CTY, killing off the Brood in exchange for Leshrac, or the Rubik, and not done yet. One more nuke will find them in the river. They're going to lose 3 heroes, including the Darkseer. It's a complete catastrophe already. 8-2. They do get the Pugna while this was going on, which is something, I suppose. Cheeky taking the Fissure, will end up backing off. But that's an off-lane Pugna. And even though the network change numerically is pretty even, it just feels like the Leshrac and Gyrocopter are getting completely out of hand.
If you look at abilities expended, they used Sonic Wave and Dragon Form, and they lost the fight. So now they have key abilities on cooldown. EHOME used nothing, because they don't really have any long cooldowns right now. They have cooldown, but Gyro didn't need it for the kills he wrapped around for from the left, as we might see at the end of this replay. So
wasn't the best Fissure by Lanham. Seemed like he hesitated a little too much, but still, I mean, the fight goes fine for them in the end. Yeah, great rotation by ZYF. Oh, the Dragon. Bam, 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 bam. Got him.
Somehow Rocket Barrage is more underwhelming when it's in slow motion.
You don't get the sound effects is the problem. It's very staccato. It's got that nice impact to it.
And Leshrac is now more than double Dragon Knight's net worth. Minute 9.
Goodness gracious. And, I mean, let's look at the rest of, like, how do they come back? The Broodmother normally likes to go Midas. That, I guess, could help, but, I mean, he's got to farm it first. I don't think there are any stacks in the jungle. The medium camp was warded. Darkseer was laning top. The Lina was trying to deal with the bottom lane. They can't stack Ancients, and even if they do, they can't farm them all that well until Dragon Knight hits level 11, and EHOME have it warded anyway. I feel like they're completely boxed in. It has to be EHOME just flat out making mistakes from here.
I can't imagine a comeback in any other way than doing some crazy shit and pulling it off. Like,
that's a perfect way to put it.
If CDEC plays it some sort of standard way, this is not happening. So they need to do some crazy all-in 5-man smokes or rotations that no one could predict or something like that, or...
And what makes it hard is they have a Broodmother and a Darkseer as 2 of the heroes going for those smokes. Just Darkseer not really at his prime yet, and I mean Brood, of course, not able to contribute much.
They could make like a path of webs all the way from top to mid, triple Ion Shell Broodlings, and then run them in under left if there's no sentry. And then if they Dragon Tail, he's going to die to 3 Ion Shells while he's standing still. They could kill any of the heroes with that. I mean, I'm not even kidding. That's the best idea I have for them right now. It's like, that's what their heroes can do right now. They need to use Ion Shell, as this Darkseer support is useless, right? That's what he brings to the table right now. He has Surge and Ion Shell. Surge is only really valuable for Dragon Knight here. The Quap has all of their burst, more or less, since Lina is not level 6. So Quap needs to be involved. He can't actually... I don't think you can put the Quap in the lane right now. It's obviously very tempting to farm and is easily the net worth leader for the Radiant, but she has to move.
She's all their damage aside from that Ion Shell over time. They don't have Laguna Blade yet either. Darkseer has not picked up his first item. It's like they can't farm because they're going to get out farmed and they're not going to be strong for a while, but they have to. Terrible position.
Well, they're actually less behind than I thought they were. They're behind by 3k net worth. That's not horrible. It's definitely not good. And we said they couldn't afford to get behind. They need to play more than even, probably. But if you ask me right now, what's the net worth discrepancy, I would have thought EHOME were 5k ahead right now. But if you look at the net worth distribution there, at least Darkseer, that's the one advantage. He is out farming his... Now this position has got 1,000 net worth more than his Shaker.
Now this is going to change quickly because EHOME have the levels on Pugna as well as Leshrac, and they're going to start taking towers. Brood does get the tier 1 top. But later on in the game, as we mentioned, there's also a lot of ways to deal with Spiderling. So we'll have to keep an eye on XC and see if he can still have an impact in the enemy jungle the way that we're accustomed to. There is pressure on mid, and this tower is one that EHOME will not give up freely. They TP in a hasted CTY, who's already looking rather tanky as the highest level hero in the game. He's going to sprint towards top with a haster. They do secure the tower bottom.
This is good for CDEC. They have an invis on Quap. Oh, she doesn't have enough mana for her combo, actually, so maybe this
only 2 stick charges here. Maybe can get a support, but getting that Leshrac is already very fat.
Yeah, they traded 2 towers for 1.
Completed Soul Burster.
I feel like that's okay. at this point.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I agree.
like going into the game, we would be saying right now that's not okay because they have to trade even or better, but they're already in a position where they can't trade even. So now they just have to try to play from behind. It's definitely not what they want to, and like I said, it's going to be ridiculously hard. But if they at least trade like that, at least get some trade, then...
You know, the one thing EHOME is lacking, which we didn't really discuss much, is they do not have good edge. And they are up against 3 mobile heroes, Darkseer, Broodmother, and Queen of Pain. Maybe it is that kind of spread the map rat Dota that's what EHOME needs to slow this thing down and try and get back in it a bit more.
If EHOME want to solve that problem, they could get a Blink on Rubik and Shaker, obviously. They could also get a Yules and Lash, and then he can solo kill pretty much anyone. But he is going for the Bloodstone first, as Brood will pick up the Midas. Minute 13:30 isn't the worst timing in the world, but...
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It feels essential at this point. The Brood needs to be able to scale towards the late game, because they're not... If they win this game, it's not going to be in like the next 5, 10, 15 minutes for sure. EHOME, even if EHOME were behind, they have excellent D-push, a lot of AoE, so you definitely want to keep your gold up as much as possible. They take down the tier 1 mid, but they can't really push forward onto the tier 2. CDEC doing a nice job of spreading the map and not really crumbling under the early pressure that EHOME's placed on them. It's actually settling down pretty nicely.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
With the Midas build up, I'm wondering what Brood is going to go for in this game. I feel like it's probably a Dagon game. They need some bursts so they can kill someone together with the Quap. In a sense, they also need physical damage because they picked Dragon Knight and Quap as their other 2 cores. But
how do you feel about that like hard right-clicking Brood build? I saw a Broodmother go. I think it was. I'm trying to remember exactly. It was like MKB, Abyssal,
BKB for sure.
BKB, of course. Maybe one like Scott. I don't know if it was a Scotty. It was some sort of like utility, Manta maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that type of build is a possibility here, or do you feel like who was it? I think it was Luo for IG who did it as an offlane Brood.
I think he has to go for something that gives him solo kill potential right now, so either Dagon or Orchid, and then, well, he could try for a BKB, I guess, but I think Dagon is the best choice, and then come late game, he might have to shift his item build into like a hybrid where you have maybe E-Blade Dagon and then start building physical damage, because ultimately, if he tries to build as a physical damage core right now, he is not going to put much pressure over the next 10 minutes. And I think EHOME will be looking to challenge them. So he has to have something that has value for a fight. Maybe a Necrobook 3 could actually be another option.
Does have kind of an expiration date, though, with the way the EHOME draft is built.
But what you can do is that then you can put the physical damage on the Quap. So she gets Orchid, and then she starts building physical damage items like a Deso, BKB build, maybe into a Daedalus even. Quap's stat gains are pretty alright for it. And we've seen it in the past. It has been done on occasion from Queen of Pain since... Yeah, you do have a lot of bursts early on, but yeah, because of your stack, I think she has one of the best agility gains for or for int heroes, I do believe. It's pretty good. So, damage items. She gets a lot of natural attack speed.
At this point, CDEC are...
for agi gain, actually. It is 2.0.
Yeah, it's not bad. CDEC are starting to develop a quad core here. Quietly, they've got 4 heroes in the top 6. Leshrac and Gyro are still your top 2 farmers. They continue to farm large stacks all around the map. Bloodstone completes non-CTY. Yet, I mean, you look around at the next couple of heroes. Husband on the offlane has completed his mech, and then afterwards their supports are looking rather impoverished now. The Earthshaker, the Rubik. CDEC may be showing that their draft has ways to slow this game down and to deal with EHOME more than what we were thinking looking at it. I mean, is there something EHOME should be doing here that they're not? Should they be 5-manning more?
I think 5-manning Brood's lane is the obvious choice, which they... Or maybe not 5-manning, but at least 3 or 4-manning Brood's lane. And they were up there with Lash, but he was forced back to defense. So that was a good play from CDEC, spreading the map, like you said, a little bit here. Oh, is that spawn spy? Oh, that's a good spot.
That's going to help.
That will allow Rubik to basically split push.
Dire's bottom tower
I would agree. I think CDEC are actually playing this pretty well at this point. Given their deficit and how the early game did not go their way, they haven't choked.
I mean, do you think EHOME are misplaying the early advantage they had in any way? Or is it just more that CDEC had a response we didn't really foresee?
I don't think EHOME are misplaying this. They could probably do it a bit better and maybe claim this tower a little earlier. I would have liked to see them rotate onto Brood's lane earlier, because Brood is putting a lot of pressure up there all the time. They have to address that issue, which is why when you go and push Brood's lane, he's really not a good defensive hero. If they did that earlier, they might not have lost the mid-tier 1 here as a trade-off, because the timing here was that they went to gank the Brood, and at the same time CDEC were smoked. So They used the smoke for that mid-tier one, though, so that's a 12-minute cooldown. That's pretty important.
Well, at this point, it looks like EHOME are going to try to get that support farm going. Lanham working towards his Blink Dagger, getting a little me time in the middle lane. And only about 800 gold short of that. DDC, on the other hand, he's kind of had to move into that 5 position role. But with the spawn spider lanes, as you mentioned, he should have some pretty good farm potential in his own right. Looks like EHOME are going to... Oh, mid lane, the Orchid reveal. Big jump in from Aggressive. That'll delay the Blink Dagger. And man, is he in deep or what? Again, it does somewhat go back to the lack of catch. If there were like a Bat Rider with the Blink, he might be a bit more nervous about trying to make that play.
He saw Rubik bottom, and he's the only counterplay they have. If Lesh had a Yules, I think Aggressive maybe doesn't go for that play, but very nice jump. And a key kill. Honestly, I think killing the Shaker might be
I think it's the most important kill right now.
Maybe the third most valuable. It delays his blink, which is really good, but I guess ultimately you want to kill the Lesh. I think he has a 5-kill streak.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is he's just too tanky for the Queen of Pain to kill by himself.
So they would need to rotate more.
That's true.
Yeah, well, what does Brood get? It's 2.1k gold on him right now, as CTY will run down the spiders.
Yeah, that is a really big question, because there's so many ways to go. You brought up the Necro book, there's the Dagon 5 E-Blade build, there's the heavy right-click BKB Daedalus, Abyssal Blade at some point, which can match up reasonably well against Gyro and Lesh. Well, we'll have to see what direction XZ wants to take it. Then there is Orchid, although I feel like we don't see much of the Orchid build anymore. And certainly not when it's too late. A rather delayed one.
Yeah. Who's that BKB for? Was that Gyro? Or
yeah, Gyro BKB. All right, EHOME have yet to try to move into the Roche pit. They have yet to take a tier 2. The game is pretty much flatlined here, with CDEC having the quad core. EHOME more of the standard 3-2 split.
They've actually pulled it back entirely. That's really surprising for me.
And they've just done it quietly. It's not like they've gotten like it's still 9-3. They've just been avoiding fights, farming efficiently, and EHOME have not been able to apply much pressure, and they haven't been able to constrict them in any way.
Now, the dangerous thing with just looking at the graphs in isolation is you can look at gold gained and experience gained, but how valuable is the golden experience? Like, what use is it being put to?
What heroes are getting it?
In an isolated 5-on-5, unless CDEC pull an incredible wombo combo, they don't win a fight, right, with their gold. So my main question still is, how does Brood use his gold? How valuable is the gold on Darkseer relative to the gold on Shaker? When Shaker gets a blink, I would say, even though his net worth is 2,000 lower than the Darkseer, he still has a higher impact in the game.
Oh, they find DDC here.
They might get RTK as well. BKB shown off here by Shiki.
And they're going to try to deal with the puzzle. Man, this could be difficult for Shiki. They walk into the cooldown to try to support it. They get up the mech, but they're going to lose their Dragon Knight. Now ZYF on the hunt for additional kills. A little bit of cleanup for him is the goal, but everybody else able to retrieve the round. Now Aggressive blinking forward, has the shadows, make the Queen of Pain out with the Orchid. But I think the Orchid might have been cast after the nuke. Is he going to take down? Looks like it was. Barely took any soul damage there. Now, in the end, CTY, though, able to fight his way through these two. I don't think they're going to kill him. In fact, they're both going to get massacred by the Shrek. Overextension in a big way from CDEC, and they pay for it. 4 heroes hitting the deck.
What a sick play by Lanham as well that we unfortunately didn't get on camera. So Yang drops really low. The Quap tries to chase and use... We got a little bit of it on camera where Shaker keeps fake casting fissures because he was waiting for the aggressive Quap blink. Then the Quap does blink in, gets fissured, and he actually gets solo killed by the Shaker, I believe, under the tier 3 tower with the Echo Slam expended. And that, I believe that was his blink as well. Wow, what a play.
Did he... Was
and
that...
He makes that fissure first as well. That's just, like, this is the kind of play you want out of a Shaker if you
This was Lanham Shaker. Yeah, he's been doing it
really good.
Copyright 2013 or even before then.
So let's see. If this replay, if we get the whole replay, you'll start seeing it at the top now. You see Lanham is getting in position here with Yang running away, and he's going to start fake casting fissures now. You see this? We're going to catch the Innovic. Oh, just got him. He got fissured there, and then he gets Echo Slammed and Enchant Totem, and then you'll see the kill message come out right there as CTY gets the 2 kills. That was really crisp.
And that's the other, and CTY had great individual play there as well. Finds the 2 hero Lesh done. A bit lucky that they clumped up, I suppose, but it is, I think it really goes back to your point of, sure, CDEC are even in overall net worth, but how much damage do they have from that? How much team fight potential do they have from that? Ultimately, you've got 8k gold on a Brood, and Brood just can't bring anything to these fights, at least not yet. Did complete the BKB. Looks like it is going to be that Luo build. And I seem to recall it was versus Alliance where he went for that heavy right-click style DPS.
I think he did a similar build in a game against Secret at the Summit. He went Butterfly in that one, I think.
Yeah.
BKB Butter.
I think the Alliance game was a little more remarkable just because I think he ended the game with like 18 kills or something. He was in most of the fights.
Yeah.
It was kind of an explosive brute game, which we generally don't see because it seems like most teams are pretty well prepared for the pocket brute picks in China. Still though, EHOME after a massive fight are starting to press in. They're going to work on the tier 2 top. In the meanwhile, CDEC looking for a bit of split push bottom.
Right. EHOME were actually intimidated there and went back from what would have been a free tower if they just used Edict on CCY, but they didn't see anyone. And this is a good play from CDEC, since when they force them back like this, they might be able to get a pick in the bottom lane. If CCY goes a little bit forward, Quap could get the Orchid set up, but they're being pretty cautious now with all the heroes missing, and looks like nothing is going to go CDEC's way from that.
Where do you go next if you're EHOME? You had a really nice fight. Did not secure Roshan yet, and they have an excellent Aegis carrier in the Leshrac. Do you just see them farming? Are there certain key items that you have your eyes on for EHOME now, Sind? Or
I think they should get a gem.
I think they just did on...
Oh, they did?
On
yeah, that's right. Pugna has
variant.
one.
Yeah.
So if I were EHOME right now, deward at least the obvious ward spots on your own side of the map. Try to take control of that. Then push into the enemy jungle, play some aggressive wards, and then you either get a tower or a Roche. You obviously need to do it fairly quickly because there's a Brood on the other side, but since there's no tower, you can lose top now anyway, and he needs to get to the tier 3. This Brood does not push quickly. It's not a Necro Book Brood, it is a BKB Brood. So it is definitely possible for them to cross through here and get some counter warding out. And they already found one of them.
I'm looking at the way the teams match up. Even though CDEC have a Dark Seer, I don't see them fighting that well around the pit, because you've got Gyrocopter. His illusions aren't very useful. They don't get flat cannon. And he also can instantly clear any Dark Seer illusions that spawn. Same with all the other heroes. Massive AoE. Plus, at this point, they're getting BKBs in their cores. They have the mech. I do feel like EHOME can walk into the pit and just almost freely take over. Brood, flank, Echo to start it off. XZ, he never had a chance to pop that PKB. Will go down. Lanham working his magic demolishing totem yet again.
Oh, that's a good jump. He realizes he has to go for the Blink Echo in this situation because Brood has the BKB. It's a valuable spell to expend, but I think at this point in time, EHOME are not looking at a team fight very soon. I'm actually surprised that they don't use that kill to get Roche. I think this is enough for them. They have the gem, they can check the entire area for vision, and if CDEC try to move out 5-on-4, I still think even without Echo Slam, they win that team fight.
Oh. Now they've got a lot more to work with.
That's nice, actually. This is interesting.
Not going to be the Shadow Blade that we've been seeing a lot of for Dragon Knights. Often goes into a Silver Edge, but I guess not the biggest item in this game. DDC will get caught out bottom lane. A bit of lag as Lanham engages onto Aggressive, but doesn't really have much in the way of follow-up here. Quinn Payne will simply blink away as they find a decent pick on the Rubik here. Not quite the bountiful takedown that the Brood represented, but they'll take what they can get. And now the blink reveal for Shiki goes on to YJ top lane, but has the BKB and can simply try for the TP out. They have decent physical damage, but certainly not enough to take him down. He'll make it out. Now they know the Gyro BKB is on cooldown, but at the same time, we'll have to see if CDEC can really take advantage of that fact.
They're not really pushing out the lanes too well right now. CTY is going to keep the mid lane across the river constantly. Darkseer will actually push it up a little bit here, so they're not going to lose anything more than well, they're not going to gain anything more than the Gyro BKB charge, but they didn't lose too much pressure on the map, considering that they ported
they're going to find another one, it looks like, on the back of Lanham. Bottom lane, he could go in with the fissure. They took step first. Now the blast follow-up. The drain begins. They need a little more damage, and they've got a lot of it coming. Lanham needs that enchant totem. Blake, oh, he's a bit off the mark.
From Darkseer.
Good escape. And now he's TP'd out, but Brood is pressuring top, so it doesn't really look like a great time for EHOME to try to walk into the pit. And the mid lane also getting pushed.
Yeah, the split push is working pretty well still. The Pugna has been overtaken by 4 Radiant heroes at this point, and he actually had a pretty good start, but all of the split push going on, RTK, I think he needs to find a little bit more farm at this point. Maybe you put Pugna a little bit on the top lane defense duty, farm some Spiderlings if you can get away with it. Brood can't solo you anyway, you can just decrep TP out with Brood's build, so.
Oh, that was the recent change. Oh no, actually that was with
Ghost,
yeah. Yeah, I still feel like the big thing that CDEC has, which we didn't really talk about that much in the draft, but which is becoming more apparent now, is they just have the mobility advantage, and that's what's allowing them to stay in this game. If EHOME had that Batrider type hero, Clockwork maybe, It doesn't feel like CDEC would be able to get away with this type of play.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, maybe
I think they should itemize some catch.
Yeah, so like a Blink Hex or even maybe a Yule Scepter.
I think the Yule's... This is a good Yule's Lesh game, and he has got it before in other games, I do believe, but he's going for the very tank-heavy build as a core, which is obviously understandable. I think he definitely still needs to do that, but at least one catch item on the Lesh wouldn't hurt.
And there's your Blink Lesh. So you've got a Blink Lesh. Rubik probably trying to farm his up. He's got, I think, like somewhere in the thousands, 1,700 gold. Lanham already has the Blink. Force is quite viable here, and it looks like that will be the choice. And ROTK also building a Force. So they're about to complete 4 mobility items, and it wouldn't surprise me to see more mobility and just lockdown items coming out as the game continues. It really feels like the big thing that they need. There's going to be an engagement mid onto DC. Well, that's going to delay the Blink Dagger, but they do commit an aggressive BKB. Maybe something that EHOME looks at as an opportunity here.
I actually think that wasn't worth it for CDEC. They used Quap, BKB, they used Dragon Knight ult, and they got the least valuable kill they could possibly get from EHOME, and this would open up for a Roche. Once again, maybe it's not enough for EHOME to confidently go in there, but I guess that depends how much Brood gets done in this top lane in the next 30 seconds. But, well, I guess maybe it's worth it. How much did they get? 800 gold for that in total? But here we go.
But now EHOME are making
their call. I think it's the right play too.
Yeah, I mean, the BKB is one thing, but not having the Dragon Idol, that is your initiation at this point. So they simply can't contest.
And they don't know either, for sure, that this is happening. Brood, if Brood was a little further up, they would probably be able to... Maybe...
the Spiderlings are monitoring.
There was a Spiderling down there, right?
Yeah.
They didn't get spotted.
Just killed it. They just killed it. But they are going to continue. Not having those 2 crucial abilities / cooldowns is going to make the difference here. They'll take the Aegis, track the most viable candidate, it would seem, to pick this one up. RTK is getting bashed heavily, though. Oh my god. Taking a little more damage than they give it to him. Huh. That is interesting. Has the BKB flat count, and then normally you only get the 1 rotation in a team fight.
And it's also, it generally makes a lot of sense to put the Aegis on your best tower pushing hero, because that's the one you want to go up high ground and force the enemy to initiate with, and Edict is still better than Gyro, I think, until Gyro gets his next damage item. But, alright, they're both good, so...
And the other thing is, of course, Lash really uses the mana that you get from the Aegis much.
Yes.
And just having another round of spells much better than a... I mean, he basically has no cooldowns on that hero.
Radiant's bottom
RTK
is under
and XC
attack.
about to butt heads here. ZYF's also in the neighborhood. They might have a bit of a clash. They're going to deal with some Spiderlings. Nah, you CDEC say, we don't really want to go in. We're just going to back off. You got your Aegis, but we have our farm. We have our split push. They've completed a pipe on the Darkseer. Excellent pickup against everything EHOME have. Later on, the Gyro is going to hit like a truck potentially, but for now, he's the only physical damage. Otherwise, it's all magic all the way.
Yeah, it's a good pickup. I think it would have been a lot worse of a pickup in the previous version, but the 10% passive magic resistance is actually really good against it, because they pretty easily burst through the threshold, but then the extra resist can play a big role. And Darkseer wanted a hood here anyway, I guess. He needed a hood or a BKB.
Well, the split push is not quite as scary at this point. Queen of Pain is bottom. They've already lost their tier 2 top. And XC, as you mentioned, going BKB, it diminishes the threat he poses to structures, which means EHOME are going to decide that they have just enough creep equilibrium to push, or to continue to push their way in mid, I should say. And they're going to work on the tier 2 here. See if I get it. He will freely. I'll clear off the creep wave. Looks like they will back now, as Queen of Pain's going to still just kind of hang out on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, they got a tier 2 for nothing, so they're making a little bit of progress, but still, given the start EHOME had, I feel like CDEC are actually still doing a really good job, but they will have to concede a tower from time to time, but if you would have asked me after the first 10 minutes, I would have thought the game would actually be over by now. That's how scary I thought it would be, but... Yeah, EHOME, they grabbed the mid tier 2. The top and bottom tier 2s are still up, as Rubik and Lesh will find Quap and Lesh will find each other, and Quap does not want any of that fight.
And the good news is there's not many ways to force her to come to the fight. They are potentially going to be able to build towards a Hex here on the Lesh, but it seems like Shiva's might be the pit stop item before he heads into that. And yeah, sitting on the plate mail for now. We'll see if he
will go Octarine after, right? Isn't that what he does?
Yeah, Octarine, then maybe you go like Hex Refresher or something along those lines for the double Hex, double VKB. We'll see.
Double Shivas.
Double Shivas.
And the Refresher has lower cooldown too, because of the Octarine.
Oh, that's a good point, actually. CDEC are going to put a nice little double stack here of enemy ancients. They did use their Dragon Form just for this one, though. And meanwhile, ZYF is finding a free beat in the top lane. Tier 2, uncontested. He'll be very happy to pick this up. And with that, Gyrocopter probably well on his way to his next item. But meanwhile, in the mid lane, other action breaking out. Heavy magic damage onto Q, but he gets surged away towards Freedom. Shiki now engaging onto RTK. The fissure comes out, though. BKB was popped by Shiki to try and link through this. They do lose their pulse now rather quickly. Now the TP out. It looks like as Dragon Knight will retreat to the base, but Lanham continues pursuit, moving on to Garter. They stun him up multiple times, bringing him down. Ends up being a 1-for-1. Trading, I guess at this point, well, not quite the 3 position hero, but 2 of the secondary cores.
Was that an even BKB? No. Okay. So CDEC used a BKB, and they killed a Pugna who has a lower net worth than the Darkseer. So I would say this definitely favors EHOME. They also got the tier 2 top before this, so that's not a part of the recap. But no big wins is the main thing. EHOME are not getting any big wins in the last 10 or 15 minutes, apart from the Roche.
At the same time, they're not really giving up anything more. It feels like the past 10 minutes, they haven't lost structure. They've given up 1 kill for 1 kill here or there. And I guess they lost a double stack of Ancients, but it feels like CDEC were getting a lot of those freebie towers, you know, the tier 1s, I guess they got the 1 tier 2 top, which is somewhat a freebie just because of how difficult it is to get all the way up there and also still be relevant and able to project force elsewhere on the map. Rubik, but that's about it. They jump on aggressive down the bottom side of the map. Quick echo, follow-up Queen of Pain ult that was stolen by DDC. Oh, what a player. Didn't actually see him grab it at the start of the last fight, but that is a big deal.
That is not the duo you're expecting to get killed by right now.
When the 2 supports can take down your most farmed hero in the game, that's scary.
I think they wouldn't have managed without the Sonic Wave, though.
No,
they really needed this particular spell
not.
steal for that to work. They could have had Laguna and maybe Dragon Tail. But.
And speaking of that Laguna, it is an Akinen's
bottom
Laguna now. That's where
attack.
ZOF would love to build towards a Satanic at some point this game. For now, he gets an Ultimate Orb and may even be thinking towards that potential Eye of Scotty.
Tower has fallen.
I guess Lincoln's is okay here if you're anticipating a Hex or Dragon Knight stun.
They might try to force the buyback. They still have... No, they don't have Aegis. When did that expire? Alright, half a minute ago. So, a little bit mistimed, but they might think it's a good enough opportunity even without Aegis with a dead Quap. They do not force the buyback. They get a Glyph and half a tower. Oh, RTK, he did not want to go and blast again. So 1/3 or 2/5 of the tower. Glyph for nothing.
They did force out the pipe. It looks like it won't actually matter as EHOME decides. They want to push out their other lanes. No reason to let that Brood threaten. Speaking of the Brood, went for a Blink Dagger. So is starting to itemize a bit more to be able to get in and out of these fights. Went for the Yasha along the way, and well, I mean, at some point Brood does get pretty difficult to deal with if she's just able to blink in with the ult active. I think it's really key that you have something like a Basher later on this game if you want to actually be a part of the team fights. You need that lockdown versus all these 4 staffs and just mobility in general. That is kind of the worry, though, is even if your Brood gets farmed, will she actually be hitting anyone in the fights?
Another item I would definitely consider would be maybe just a Crystallis. Not necessarily upgrading it to Daedalus right away, but
it goes great with the ult.
Gives 120 damage. So the crits are actually pretty significant with this Insatiable Hunger, and at 2,000 investment to have that chance of a crit is very valuable. Of course, the Daedalus is what you would ultimately want to go for, but if you're looking for high cost efficiency right now on items, I would say get that as your next item. Even instead of upgrading your Yasha, just keep Yasha, and then look for, like you said, maybe a Basher.
Meanwhile, Sind, Hyperstone coming out on the Queen of Pain, it looked like. So, potential AC.
Yeah, that's
just to accelerate the Rat Dota a bit. Could go very nicely with the Brood, potentially.
Is under attack.
And also, I suppose, does help you against this Gyrocopter, who's starting to pick up the pace as far as physical damage goes. Completed the Scotty.
Darkseer going for a Deso.
Oh, they are really starting. Oh, I thought he actually had. I don't have control of the camera, man. I didn't actually see his items. Bastard.
They are really focusing on the split push with that Darkseer Desolator.
I assumed like he actually had 2 Mithril Hammers already or something. But
No, he's definitely building VKB.
You're a cheeky little bugger.
It could be a master.
I'll kill you.
Alright, oh, that's going on Reddit.
Now that you've said that, it is.
I know, right? Alright, that's the AC. For Co-op, do they have a Vlad's as well? Because they might be starting to plan for the inevitable team fight where they need to have some AoE armor against the Gyro, I would say. Dragon Knight also went for a plate mail, so this surprises me a little bit that the Co-op went for the Kyrus there. I think they should have got the Kyrus on Dragon Knight, the Shiva on Co-op, but they might do it vice versa.
Are going to have a fight breaking out here. They quickly assassinate RTK, who has not been a big factor as of late. DDC blinking forward, but Shiki was still BKB'd for just a second longer, it looked like. Getting a bit of frame lag here. The push is accelerating in the top lane, and they are going to need to send somebody back to deal with it, and guess who it is? It's CTY. He is just in heaven right now, farming endless fat stacks of creeps. They are going to try to punish him, though. DDC blinking forward. They initiate on CTY, but he gets off his BKB. Low to the Queen of Pain, not dead yet. Heavy commitment to try and bring him down. They need another auto attack. They do get the kill. No Bloodstone denied. Now DDC next on the list. That's 3 dead. There's no buyback on the strike. Out of it for 23 seconds thanks to the Bloodstone. It's up to ZYF to engage. He's not doing a whole lot of damage here. He's starting to get kited by the Dragon Knight. Aggressive, sensing opportunity, breaking back to the floor, finds another kill. All of a sudden, 4 dead. Leshrac will respawn soon with the Bloodstone. Aggressive in deep, perhaps a bit too much. He gets the Gyro as well. That double damage Queen of Pain. Who would have thought she'd be the main right clicker this game? ROTK able to find the trade in the end, bringing him down. That was just a sudden jolt of momentum for CDEC. They force out a buyback, they wipe the team, they don't fully take a Rax, but when the dust settles in, it's over 4,000 gold as a trade.
That was incredible that they could win a fight like that. The Brood is still not that strong, but it's just the way they initiated the fight and the angles they found. EHOME didn't get off some key spells there. Echo Slam is unused. Like you said, well, the Leshrac kind of got isolated in a weird position as well. He was forced away from the fight. Had Bloodstone, so he respawns fast, but not fast enough to rejoin the fight.
They didn't get off any of their...
Still in this.
They did not get off the Leshrac BKB either. I believe he was just chain stunned for the entire fight.
He did get it off toward the end at least, but...
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
But, well, they also do damage to the tower, and that is something I'm not sure that EHOME can really afford to be giving up here.
The Kyrus Quap did a lot of damage with the double damage, like you said.
That DD rune definitely made the difference. I feel like it got them at least 2 extra kills. Well, all of a sudden, I mean, I guess the one thing that I'm starting to worry about here for EHOME is it just feels like the Pugna isn't bringing much to the fights at this point. He's got a lot of, oh, not a lot of farm, but he's got reasonable farm for an off-lane Pugna, but comparing his impact to pretty much any other hero in the game, even to support some of those teams, we're just not seeing much out of him. It's kind of late, it's getting to be late to be Pugna, 41 minutes in. Maybe the life drain can be the difference maker, the eggs is in the works.
Yeah, speaking of that, why didn't ROTK drain into the Gyro?
I have to try and heal him.
Yeah,
maybe he did and we just lagged and didn't see it, but
that's possible.
That's getting quite big testing for the door game. They are going to secure another Aegis. Again, they give it to the Gyro, who has picked up a crystal.
Do they have boots of travel on Lesh?
Not yet. It does feel like an item they're going to want soon, if not quite this second.
The split push. Get 1 Spiderling. There's some more coming.
Boink. Boink.
And the creep wave, they will have to go back and defend this. This tower is fun. You can see RTK starting to ping it out. Brood is a little bit cautious, not sure if there's any movement. Here comes Slash. She will be clearing this out with Shiva's in a Lightning Storm.
It's still a pretty even game here across the board. In terms of overall map control, positioning, warding, farm on cores, buybacks available. There is that Aegis again on EHOME, as we've talked about, but everybody's slowly starting to get there.
Now let's say CDEC can keep this up, and this game goes beyond an hour. Do you think that top fight was a fluke / the DD, or do you think they actually have a shot in the late game? Because I said if the game is even and it goes long, I still think EHOME have the stronger heroes for the mid-late game. I'm uncertain because of Pugna's farm. He doesn't have enough, but he stayed in the game.
It kind of feels to me like if it's an organized fight, EHOME win that. If there's a good echo, Leshrac is getting off his BKB and running into the middle of the enemy team. Same for Gyro, making sure he hits the flak and on multiple heroes. But the thing that worries me for EHOME is just how mobile CDEC are. And earlier on it was all about the split push, but now they can just jump here. Something Gods mentioned very early on was the surge into Dragon Tail. That can be huge. Blink Hex from Queen of Pain. You can just blast one of these cores down before anything happens. But EHOME are looking to really throw a wrench into that potential ultra late game plan that CDEC may be brewing as they pressure down mid. They did drop their Nether Ward here. Looks like it'll get sniped by XZ. Just a little dinky stuff. Ward still stands for now. RTK could look to decrepify. They actually need to finish this thing off, it feels. Making out the wave a bit. They're going to lose their tower, it seems, with the Aegis. Now, meanwhile, BKB coming out. There's a bit of split push going on by the Queen of Pain, but the fight really breaks out. Cheeky getting worked over by ZYF, and now Garner could be next. He's low to the Scotty, and eventually they get the final crit to bring him down. YJ may fall, but he still holds the Aegis here. He's coming back for round 2. Where's the backup? They're going to need something soon. The bottom split push has ended, it appears. Queen of Pain will rejoin the fight. Aggressive, going in onto him, but RTK healing him the whole time. He's brought himself low. Now he tries to get some health back in his play. They'll find XZ getting aggressive and cocky for the backstab. Queen of Pain ult there, but not enough for RTK. We wanted more from him, and he continues to deliver.
Suicided for the heal for Gyro.
Oh, nice plays. He just can't bring him down. He's getting constantly
just plays level 2 boots of challenge.
Constantly Pugna heal. Meanwhile, they've got the Aegis to work with, and the Bloodstone suicide. EHOME just, it feels like they're like, okay, we need to think a little more about how we're going to turn this game in our favor, and all of a sudden they force out 3 buybacks, they take the lane of Rax, they kill off the Darkseer, they get a dieback on the Dragon Knight and the Lina. Massive swing. That is a nearly 10,000 gold swing going their way. This game has been all sorts of crazy.
Yeah. And it's cool. It was actually cool to see the damage distribution on that fight recap. How much damage was done by all of them. It wasn't like just a Gyro's flat cannoning down the entire team and less AoE damage. The supports really were involved in that, especially the I believe it was the Pugna, even the Precision 3, and the Rubik did a lot of damage too.
I do want to point out this whole fight, XZ was chasing the Earthshaker, and I don't even think he ever ends up getting him here. He had to drop another web, he BKB'd, the BKB wears off, then he kind of limps back towards the fight. That's just where the Brood struggles in these late game engagements. I think they have 3 or 4 force staffs. CTY was able, as you mentioned, to get up the Bloodstone Suicide to help keep him alive. The whole time RTK is just giving him help here, and CDEC just keep on throwing shit at him, trying to bring him down. It was just a very surprisingly difficult to kill EHOME fight is basically what it looked like. And then this is where the Brood comes back in. Never got Lanham, ultimately dies by the Demolishing King's vicious hands, and well, from there,
there's the suicide.
He died for our sins. That was just so swag from EHOME, I have to say. The Pugna heals coming out caught CDEC off guard, I think, and then the follow-up Bloodstone Suicide was brilliant.
Yeah, he had pretty much nothing left to give. He had like 200 or 300 mana on the Lesh, and I can imagine the voice communication at that point in time. You're just yelling, kill yourself, give me Because ultimately, the sacrifice for CTY to keep Gyro alive is easily worth it. Oh, he's going to find XZ. They have the fall. Oh, he got BKB off.
Now they're looking to turn this, but CTY also has BKB around too. I think that's just a bit of lag on protocol. I'm not sure exactly, but CTY and YJ engaging. They're going to bring down the Broodmother, who has no buyback though, but they might get the Dragon Knight. But income reinforcements from CDEC trying to find CTY. He will fall. RTK joining us as well. DDC also on the run. The Gyro is dead. The Shrek is dead, and with that, they really have no chance against these heroes. They're going to lose RTK next. That's 3 hitting the deck. Queen of Pain also dying in the chaos. And CDEC perhaps thinking about moving in here a bit more. Do they want to Rax of their own? There is buyback up on all 3 cores. At the very least, CDEC want to force it, but they have to be careful not to get off
Dragon Knight and buyback here.
Oh, they might be able to get a big...
Oh, he jumps the gun on the buyback.
The Blink Dragon Knight saves the day.
Looked like a little, maybe. Well, the tower was almost down. Looked like miscommunication. I think Random's plan was he wants to block in the Dragon Knight, then you buy back the Gyro. You just disallow him from blinking with Fade Bolt and Lift, and you try to get that kill. So they get a buyback, they get the tier 3, and trade 3 for 2. It's really good for CDEC. This game seems to... It doesn't matter who's getting ahead, it seems. It's all about finding the jump.
It's just one of those games where it feels like there's never any sort of like very straightforward action. It's always kind of this chaotic movement, heroes split pushing and suddenly deciding to return to fights. The Blink Dagger miraculously arriving for Lanham right before the earlier fight near the secret shop. one of those games where it comes down a lot to how quickly the players can think in the moment because of the way the lineups are matching up and just how bursty some of these heroes are getting. Maelstrom will be the next choice here for our Dragon Knight. A little more spread damage to combo up with all the AoE the other heroes bring to the table. And EHOME, the way they're kind of huddled near these Ancients, it feels like they're getting a little more scared. The confident movement we saw previously. They are still, right now, up a lane of Rax, but all their other lanes are down to tier 3, and the top lane is exposed. So, one of those games that absolutely hangs in the balance.
And that's really important that there's no smoke available for CDEC right now. For, what was that? Was that 6 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah, 6:20. And what about EHOME? Did he show that? Two smokes available for EHOME. They could really try to take control of the map right now with double smoke plays and secure themselves the third Roche of the game, which more than likely will end the game. Buybacks, I don't actually know how much cooldown they have on the Radiant, so maybe they will be able to buy back. Let's see.
XC.
130 on the Dragon Knight, actually. Yeah, maybe they can make it, and 2 minutes on the Brood on buyback. So they might get their buybacks ready. Then the question is, do they have the gold? Brood definitely does not.
Maybe start to come out. The Blink Dragon Knight initiate and lag when it appears as they continue to press it. That was earlier, I believe.
Quap, 5 seconds on Dragon Knight. Pugna bought a Vlad's.
Once allowed to see the game properly.
And this is what we talked about earlier in the game. Quap might need to go a damage route, and here we go. The AC is kind of a hybrid item, but now we're back to the real damage build. MKB is the pickup. Oh, they found Shiki at the top rune!
Oh, this could be huge. Shiki down, does have the buyback, so, okay, not huge, but still a very nice takedown.
Barely has it too. He has 85 surplus.
Oh,
that was very, very close.
You imagine he gets a creep wave or two less, and he can't buy back for 90 seconds.
It's a Roche, though, if Roche is up soon for EHOME.
Minute and 20. It's almost, it's like right in the window where it could go either way. EHOME have a medallion now, so they may be able to kill this in time.
I think Dragon Knight can't get there in time. He has no tier 2 or tier 1 support on. He doesn't have boots of travel to TP on any summoned unit or spiderling or anything, so if EHOME see the moment it spawns, it's theirs with this Solar Crest for DDC.
They are going to use those boots of travel level 2 to get CTY right into the front lines quickly. He scurries down with Pugna leading the way. The little skeleton man trying to find an opening here to set up his teammates. He has picked up the Vlads now. RTK going for these pure utility items on the Pugna. But it's a great game to get these. Something that really helps out his Gyrocopter, allowing ZYF to bypass the Satanic and just go straight into more hard-hitting, aggressive items. Now making the move bottom, EHOME up onto the Radiant high ground, looking for the second lane of Rax here. CDEC. They don't want to buy back the Dragon Knight, but they may not have a choice as DDC leaps in, gets the lift on Gunner. CTY races forward, but hasn't found anyone big to go on. And meanwhile, the Queen of Pain ult comes out, driving DDC back defensive. Decrepify the heal. DDC suddenly back in the saddle with full HP. Lanham soaks up heavy damage in front. He did manage to get off an Echo, but nobody's supporting him through this. They lost their Gyro, dead for 110 seconds. Has no buyback. CDEC. Can they punish this? Maybe take the Roche. Creeps are pushing top. They could go for a lane of Rax. What's the call here? Let's see what they want to do.
What's their best wave? The top wave is actually pushed pretty far, and they're going to
possibly find RTK. Do they want to be chasing for this kill is the question.
Yeah, he's just trying to waste their time. He doesn't decrepify.
He has another force.
He needs to use something.
Self-decrepify can force that by the TP. No. It's aggressive, says where you go. But he bought them a good 30 seconds there.
Yeah, the mid lane is being pushed out here by EHOME. They do have the tier 4s as
under
buffers,
attack.
so can hold. And CTY analyzing the situation correctly, in my opinion. He's like, okay, they're chasing RTK. I will boots of travel to the top lane and push that out. This is their easiest avenue to try to get barracks with the gyro dead. And ultimately, it's going to be a Rosh instead for CDEC, but that is really, really good for them. They only have to buy back the Dragon Knight to get 3 kills and a Rosh, which has cheese as well.
Now,
Look at these graphs. Like, what kind of a game is this?
What was that? That was a wet one. Jesus.
I'm sorry.
If you need to use the bathroom, just take a step out for a second. But we're trying to catch Dota here. So aggressive, working on the bottom lane. He's going to push it in. And has managed to hit level 25. In fact, we've got 3 heroes already there, and another 4 who are not far behind. Everybody level 16 or greater. This has just been one of those bloodbath-style games. Solar Crest has been complete on Rubik. The one thing that really hurt EHOME there was Gyrocopter had the buyback gold, but he was short the cooldown. It is now, I believe, off cooldown. Ended up not being able to return to the fight. Just gets the buyback now.
Should have bought back for those 2 seconds efficiency.
I don't think you know what efficiency means.
No.
How do you see this going as it goes later, Sin? I mean, the one thing that does worry me a little bit for CDEC is I feel like the wall is very weak this game. It's like about the weakest wall game you can possibly have, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not good, but the good news is Garter is farming very well. He's actually surpassed the Dragon Knight, which is both, it's good and bad news. It means their Darkseer is doing very well farm-wise, but of course Dragon Knight would love to have more damage. He's gonna get a Hex though, I guess, in the Darkseer, and that is, when you get to this late game stage, when the BKBs are 5 seconds, Hex becomes such an incredible item. It's great no matter what, right? You can Hex before BKB, but it's just so much more reliable when, even if you do get jumped by the enemy team with BKBs on, you just need to kite for 5 seconds and you can turn it around on them. Speaking of Hex, there is another one here for CTY. Oh. He's gonna sell his Blink for an Octarine now, I think.
Yeah, after that point, I guess that's where you make. That's where your last item is probably that like stash refresher, but at that point he's pretty much done farming. I'm not sure there's really a whole lot else he can go for here. He's pretty much topped off, the Gyrocopter getting there as well, and that's where the rest of the EHOME heroes, you'd like to see them continuing to farm, but they're just not getting the space for it right now. Too easily picked off by players like Aggressive, who has gone MKB, has had it for a long time, but we never officially mentioned it, along with the AC. It's just been heavy right-click physical damage builds for these CDEC cores. XZ trying to go that way. He's just not getting the farm. But yeah, it seems like they're gearing up for more of a physical damage-intensive late game.
The question is if Lanham, what path he should take on this Shaker. He's got full utility right now with a Yule Scepter. What would you get? Hex, Refresher, or damage? Or BKB even against this Radiant lineup?
BKB sounds nice, but I don't think he's been caught at all this game.
Not really, no.
Well, what would you say is like the most powerful offensive item? Would you say Refresher is the
Refresher,
the biggest play item that he could go for?
Yes, if he. It's also a Lanham Classic from back at MLG Columbus, right? That was how they won the game, was a Refresher Echo Slam.
I kind of lean towards that just because I think Lanham has a lot of, I mean, the team has a lot of faith in his Earthshaker. He hasn't been caught really at all this game, and it does feel like it's getting to that point where they need him to be able to sit back. They go on the Leshrac, the heal comes out from the Pugna, or they go on the Gyro and the same thing happens, and just wait out the BKBs, and then Lanham comes in and just completely blows up the fight. Yeah. So I would lean towards Refresher, but obviously he's also going to need to think about buyback for now.
Yeah, for me it's probably between Refresher and Hex, and I think I would agree Refresher is the choice, but he's a way off. It's going to take a while for him to get there. They're not really giving him farm priority at all, which...
It's just tough. Like, he goes off on his own. Queen of Pain can very easily solo kill him. The Dragon Knight can come around the trees and mess him up pretty bad. And, of course, there's the Brood, who's got a Blink Dagger and often is off the map. Speaking of that Queen of Pain, what is she building? Is that a Refresher, or is that a Linked Sphere? Refresher.
This is such a... This Dragon Knight has no damage. When he gets damage items, it's gonna get scary for EHOME.
That's the thing. And they have still doing well. And they have a Darkseer Hex now. This is where the quad core really comes into play.
Luna's working on E-Blade. Has the Ghost Scepter for now. 3k away. So this is gonna take a while.
Oh. I guess the last hero to mention for EHOME is the Rubik, who can be potentially just a huge playmaker this game with the Lina. Aghanim's ult could eventually be stolen. The Queen of Pain Aghanim's ult could be stolen. Same for the Darkseer, Vacuum, or Wall. Haven't seen it just yet, but something to keep an eye on here. Aggressive with, true to his name, an aggressive blink up the hill. Shiki and him moving through the EHOME jungle, trying to find openings, not seeing anyone. Just they did get eyes on ZYF there, it looked like. So we quickly toggled the Radiant Vision. Roche will respawn exactly, or rather, Aegis will be reclaimed at exactly this moment, I should say.
Time's frozen. All right, there we go. Time just stopped. When is Roche? We will know in... Did you notice the first message? I can't remember when the first one comes, before the...
I think it's a bit later.
Okay. So let's keep an eye out for that. That is still... CDEC did not get any... Did they get any value? No. They got nothing out of their Aegis. That was on Quap until the end. I feel like if it goes on EHOME, they get a lane.
Yeah.
So CDEC have to protect the next Roshan, but for that to happen, they need to get some sort of vision out. They don't have any vision, actually. Wait, is there a single ward on the map? No. Alright, well then late game is pretty scary.
Sind, look at this. ZYF, as our observer is pointing out, went for the Refresher Orb Gyro. Now, I mean, cooldown doesn't really seem that great at this stage of the game, but double Flak Cannon, double BKB, very big.
Yeah. This is a cool... I don't know if this is the first time I've seen it, but it's at least a very rare build that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But it's not really intuitive that you would get this item, so... Whoever got the idea for that, whether it's Yang himself who started it or got inspired by someone else, I am a big fan of this idea.
Yeah,
it's really
I agree. I think it's quite underrated. Slark's another big carry. Anyone who's like an Abyssal BKB carry generally is going to really benefit from it.
And this build would have been even better before this patch, because now the Refresher Orb gives less damage than it used to. It used to give 40, which was obviously a better choice on carries. The new Refresher is not that good for stats anymore, which was a pretty clear nerf to quite a set of heroes that wanted to get Refresher.
I guess at the same time, it's a fairly minimal.
It's still only
for the Gyro, who's already got several very big damage items.
Well, how long are EHOME going to stand here for?
Let the standoff begin.
They actually just... Alright.
Well, this is how it's going to be. So everyone...
Good game, ceasefire.
Make yourself some hot...
Coffee break.
Some hot chocolate. Grab some coffee. You may want a little popcorn. And you may want to have a quick nap, which our analysts are thinking about. But you know that climactic fight is coming at some points, and... It's gonna go.
It's gotta be Roche, right? They're just waiting for Roche.
It's gonna go from 0 to 60 in just a matter of seconds at some point. 60 minutes in. It's only 28 to 21. It's been one of those games where there's long lulls and then intense periods of massive action. EHOME moving in. They will have their smoke broken by the Brood on the cliff. That is a very clever place for XC to hang, and it's something that you talked about. Smokes are such a valuable late game resource, and that's a great way to just remove them from the EHOME side.
Well, if EHOME do get wards out, I think it's worth it. At this point, if you smoke to get 2 or 3 wards out and that secures your Roshan, it's a trade you will take. But they didn't really get much. They got 1 ward up that the gem will probably clear out for the Radiant fairly soon. This is one of the first wards you will check for. The reason they still pick that one is that it's on the high ground. So if they place it on the ground somewhere else, which is usually an unusual warding spot, Lina will just walk over it and find it.
EHOME are just waiting for that Roche, and should they get it, that might be where they see an opportunity to try and force a second lane of Rax. And, well, the ward was there, and now it's gone. XC, quick to remove it. Will start spidering his way through his own jungle. The Roche actually going to be up in just a moment, but with the ward down, EHOME are getting a bit nervous. They got another ward around the pit, XC, trying to farm his jungle as his team hurries into position.
This is a really important play for both teams.
This could be the fight that decides the entire game. EHOME moving forward, Lanham behind DDC. They want CTY to go first. They are going to see the Brood in just a moment. They blink forward onto it. They get the Hex off from CTY. Follow-up stun there, then the Fissure, committing heavily with Lanham. He did not find the echo, but he quickly forced steps away. There's the Peter Panel. They have a Refresher. Secondary ult comes through. It's not enough to get the kill. Now the Gyro Refresher comes out. Another BKB. He just keeps on going. Black Cannon spraying everywhere. Q forced back. Echo Slam was used by Lanham in the midst of this, and they bring down 3, make it 4! Only surviving is the Dragon Knight as he blinks away. He'll have the extra move speed to make it out, Sin, but now EHOME are going to force buybacks. 3 available, or actually 2 available, And 2 dead for
Dire
70 seconds.
structures are
BKBs are down,
fortified.
all their cooldowns are down. I don't know if they can actually hold this.
If EHOME don't misplay this is a lane.
And if this is a lane, it might be game, because they already have one lane.
It's a lane
advantage.
and Roche. That's the buyback from Brood. Actually, they might hesitate because of the split push top that forced RTK back. But they're still in a pretty good position with less buying back here with full health and mana coming into the fight. There's a second buyback. Maybe this is enough. They're 4 on 3, but they don't know
They
about
don't know
the two other
if,
buybacks.
they don't know if Darkseer or Lina have an extra, and then they could get caught in a 5v4, but...
That was a 4k swing for the fight alone. Now there's 2 buybacks, so it's probably more like a 7k swing, and it's a Roche, so it's like a 10k swing.
That is the power of winning one
Close
late
to
game team.
8 point something.
It really harkens back to that interview Dendy did. I think I forget where it was, but it was around like the TI3 era where he explained why Na'Vi just always try to end games early, because late game is just random. Not to say that there's not skill involved, but all it takes is one fight that doesn't go your way. You lose an Aegis, you lose map control, you have to fight back, your cooldowns are no longer available, and then the game can just be out of your hands like that.
Fallen to the Dire.
Now they get the Aegis. They do give it to the Gyrocopter. What did he drop for this? I'm actually kind of curious.
He might have dropped his boots.
Yeah, just going in the slow siege style way.
Nope. What was in that refresher?
Well, he already used it, so why not? And that is the beauty of having this.
Sending down the courier now.
He may be looking for another item fairly soon. If nothing else, just have the refresher in tow. EHOME gonna press in, and CDEC are waiting on the high ground, but this is going to be very difficult to stop. They don't have the double BKB, double flak on Gyro this time around. At the same time, they have the Aegis, which may keep them alive long enough to function in a similar fashion. Pressing in, there's the surge forward from Gutter, he gets off the back, it's a really nice one! CDEC starting to clean up, Pugna down, moving down, but the Cold are surviving to be What an echo, it's the World Shaker again! 3 heroes and the DK as well, it's a team wipe! Dragon Knight buys back, but nobody else can do anything. Darkseer will try, let him, he's been the hero before, and he shows once again why he is still the demolishing king. What a beast.
That was such a good Echo Slam. Like, CDEC actually got 2 kills instantly in that fight. They got, what was it, the Pugna and the Rubik? No, was it Pugna Rubik?
Yeah, it's the Pugna.
I think so.
They got the 2 support. Oh, Pugna not support. They got the 2 squishy end heroes off the bat.
But immediately reducing the fight to a 5 on 3. They don't get the key heroes though, like you said, and that setup, I wouldn't mind seeing this again.
Yeah, just watch the magic, basically.
Call down on everyone. He's doing a lot of damage with Flat Cannon, and now Landham has been waiting, coming from
So
above.
patient. Oh my god, he got everyone with the Echo, then the Fissure Enchant Totem, and he even catches Garter with the Fissure on top of it, securing the final kill of the fight.